Hello, friends. Let's talk about something that hits every one of us at some point in life, the need to choose people who choose you. We live in a world where so much of our energy is spent trying to fit into spaces, chasing approval, and holding on to relationships that don't always hold on to us in return. And I want to tell you something you may not hear enough. You are not meant to beg for connection. Choosing people who choose you starts with knowing your worth. Understanding your worth is the foundation for choosing people who genuinely choose you. Too often we look for validation in external relationships, hoping others will reflect back to us the value we struggle to see in ourselves. But the truth is, if you don't first recognize your own worth, you'll continue to seek it in places where it may never be found. It's not that the people in your life are bad or incapable of love. It's that when you undervalue yourself, you unconsciously give permission for others to do the same. Recognizing your worth starts with an honest look inward. It's about acknowledging the unique qualities that make you who you are: your kindness, your humor, your intelligence, your resilience, and even your imperfections. It's about understanding that you don't need to earn love or prove your value to anyone. You are enough simply by being you. This is not arrogance or selfishness, it's self-respect. It's drawing a line in the sand and saying, this is how I deserve to be treated. When you truly believe in your own value, it changes how you engage with others. You no longer feel the need to overextend yourself, bending and breaking to fit into relationships that don't serve you. Instead, you begin to attract people who recognize and honor your worth because you've already done the work to honor it yourself. Choosing people who choose you is not about being selective to the point of isolation. It's about setting a standard for the kind of love, respect, and care you will accept. When you know your worth, you stop settling for breadcrumbs and start demanding the full meal. You stop making excuses for people who can't meet you halfway and instead prioritize those who show up fully. But knowing your worth is more than just a mindset, it's a practice. It's saying no when your instinct is to say yes out of fear of rejection. It's stepping away from relationships that leave you feeling empty, even if it means walking into the uncertainty of solitude. It's choosing yourself again and again, even when it feels uncomfortable or unfamiliar. This practice requires courage because it often means challenging deeply ingrained beliefs about what you deserve. It might mean re-examining patterns you've carried since childhood, questioning the idea that love has to be earned through sacrifice or struggle. It might mean redefining relationships not based on how long they've lasted, but on how they make you feel. When you know your worth, you don't tolerate relationships where you are an afterthought. You don't accept conditional love, where affection is given only when it's convenient for the other person. You don't stay in spaces that require you to shrink or hide parts of yourself to be accepted. Instead, you create space in your life for relationships that are rooted in mutual respect, understanding, and genuine care. This isn't about perfection. No relationship is without challenges. It's about reciprocity. It's about being surrounded by people who see your light, celebrate your successes, and stand beside you in your struggles, not because they have to, but because they want to. When you embrace your worth, you start to recognize the difference between people who choose you for what you can give and those who choose you for who you are. One-sided relationships take a toll. One-sided relationships can be some of the most emotionally draining experiences we endure. They often begin subtly with small imbalances that are easy to overlook, like always being the one to initiate contact, plan meetings, or offer support. At first, you might rationalize it, thinking the other person is busy or going through a tough time. But over time, the weight of always being the one who gives without receiving begins to take a toll. In these relationships, there's a constant sense of striving, as if you're trying to earn a place in someone's life rather than being welcomed into it. You find yourself walking on eggshells, bending over backward to accommodate their needs, and making excuses for why they can't seem to meet you halfway. And though you might not realize it at first, this dynamic starts to chip away at your self-esteem. One of the most insidious aspects of one-sided relationships is the way they make you question your worth. When someone doesn't reciprocate your effort or affection, it's easy to internalize that as a reflection of your value. You start to wonder if you're asking for too much, if you're too needy, or if there's something inherently wrong with you. This self-doubt can become a vicious cycle, keeping you invested in the relationship as you strive even harder to prove your worth. The emotional toll is significant. One-sided relationships often leave you feeling unseen, unheard, and unimportant. You may find yourself carrying the emotional labor for two people, constantly trying to anticipate their needs, soothe their emotions, and bridge the gaps they leave behind. And while you're pouring so much of yourself into maintaining the connection, you're left with little energy to focus on your own needs and well-being. It's not just your emotional health that suffers, your mental and physical health can be impacted too. The stress of constantly chasing someone's attention or approval can lead to anxiety, exhaustion, and even physical symptoms like headaches or a weakened immune system. The weight of unreciprocated effort can make you feel stuck, as if you're running on a treadmill that's going nowhere. One-sided relationships also have a way of isolating you. You might feel embarrassed to talk about the dynamic with others, fearing judgment or criticism. You might even start to pull away from friends and family, focusing all your energy on someone who isn't doing the same for you. Over time, this isolation can make the relationship feel even more consuming, as if it's your only source of connection. Perhaps one of the most painful aspects of one-sided relationships is the way they rob you of joy. Relationships should be a source of mutual support, laughter, and growth, but when the dynamic is unbalanced, they often feel more like a burden than a blessing. The moments of happiness you do experience are often overshadowed by the underlying tension of knowing you're giving more than you're getting. It's important to acknowledge how deeply these relationships can affect your sense of self. They can make you feel like you're not enough, as if your love, effort, and presence will never be sufficient to earn the other person's commitment or care. This feeling of inadequacy can spill over into other areas of your life, affecting your confidence, relationships, and overall outlook. And yet, despite all this, one-sided relationships can be incredibly hard to walk away from. You may hold on to hope that the other person will change, that they'll finally see your value and start meeting you halfway. You may cling to the good moments, however rare they are, and use them as proof that the relationship is worth holding on to. But hope alone cannot sustain a connection, and the longer you stay in a one-sided dynamic, the more it drains you of the energy and self-worth you need to build healthier, more fulfilling relationships elsewhere. The beauty of mutual connection. Mutual connection is one of the most beautiful and fulfilling experiences we can have as human beings. It's the feeling of being truly seen, valued, and loved for who you are, not for what you can provide or how well you fit someone else's expectations, but for your authentic self. In relationships built on mutual connection, there's a natural flow of energy and effort. You give and receive in equal measure, creating a balance that nurtures both people. At the heart of mutual connection is the understanding that relationships are not transactions. They're not about keeping score or weighing what each person contributes. Instead, they're rooted in a genuine desire to support and uplift each other. When someone chooses to be present in your life, not out of obligation, but out of care, you feel it. You feel it in the way they listen when you speak, in the way they show up during your hardest moments, and in the way they celebrate your victories as if they were their own. Mutual connection creates a space where you can let your guard down and be vulnerable without fear of judgment. It's the safety of knowing that you don't have to put on a mask or pretend to be something you're not. You can share your dreams, your fears, your joys, and your struggles, and the other person will meet you with empathy and understanding. In this space, both individuals grow not because they're trying to fix or change each other, but because the connection itself inspires growth. There's a quiet strength in mutuality. It doesn't always look dramatic or grand. Often it's found in the small, consistent gestures that say, "I'm here and I care." It's the friend who checks in on you after a difficult day, the partner who remembers the little things that make you smile, or the family member who shows up when you need support without having to be asked. These actions may seem simple, but they carry immense weight because they communicate a deep level of commitment and care. Mutual connection is also freeing. It allows you to be yourself without constantly worrying about whether you're enough or doing enough. In one-sided relationships, there's often an underlying anxiety, a fear that if you don't keep giving, the connection will falter. But in mutual relationships, that fear doesn't exist because the foundation is built on reciprocity and trust. You don't have to chase affection or prove your worth. It's already acknowledged and cherished. This kind of connection fosters resilience. Life is unpredictable and challenges are inevitable, but when you have relationships grounded in mutuality, you face those challenges with a sense of partnership. You know you're not alone because the people in your life are walking beside you, sharing the burden and offering their strength when you need it most. This shared support not only helps you navigate difficult times, but also deepens the bond you share. In mutual connection, there's also room for individuality. It's not about losing yourself in the relationship or becoming overly dependent on the other person. Instead, it's about two whole individuals coming together to create something greater than the sum of its parts. You respect each other's boundaries, encourage each other's passions, and celebrate each other's uniqueness. This balance between togetherness and independence creates a dynamic that feels both secure and invigorating. Perhaps one of the most profound aspects of mutual connection is the sense of belonging it provides. We all have an innate need to belong, to feel like we have a place where we are accepted and valued. Mutual relationships fulfill that need in the most authentic way. They remind you that you are not alone, that you are loved, and that you matter. This kind of connection doesn't just happen, it's nurtured through intentionality, communication, and effort from both sides. It requires vulnerability, trust, and a willingness to invest in the relationship, even when it's inconvenient. But the rewards are immeasurable. Mutual connection enriches your life in ways that go beyond words, creating a sense of fulfillment and joy that can't be replicated by any other means. Letting go to let better in. Letting go is one of the most challenging yet transformative acts we can undertake. It's difficult because it often requires us to release something we've grown attached to, a relationship, a dream, or even an idea of what our lives should look like. Letting go feels like surrender, like giving up control or admitting defeat, and that can be incredibly uncomfortable. But in reality, letting go is not about loss, it's about creating space. When we hold on to things that no longer serve us, we weigh ourselves down. Imagine carrying a backpack full of rocks, each one representing a toxic relationship, an unfulfilled expectation, or a past hurt. At first, you might convince yourself that the weight is manageable, that you can carry it if you just try harder or adjust your posture. But over time, the burden becomes heavier, sapping your energy and limiting your ability to move forward. Letting go is the act of putting down that backpack, of freeing yourself from the weight that's holding you back. One of the reasons letting go is so difficult is the fear of the unknown. What happens when you release something you've been holding on to for so long? There's comfort in familiarity, even when that familiarity is painful or unfulfilling. Letting go forces you to step into uncertainty, to face the possibility of change, and that can feel terrifying. But growth doesn't happen in the confines of comfort. It happens when we take the brave step of trusting that what lies ahead can be better than what we're leaving behind. Letting go also requires us to confront the stories we tell ourselves. We often cling to people or situations because we've convinced ourselves that they are essential to our happiness or identity. We tell ourselves, if I let this go, I'll never find something as good, or I've invested so much, I can't just walk away now. These narratives keep us trapped, holding on to things that aren't meant for us. But when we challenge those stories, when we allow ourselves to believe that we are worthy of more, we begin to see the possibilities that letting go can bring. It's important to recognize that letting go doesn't mean forgetting or erasing the past. It doesn't mean denying the love, effort, or experiences that have shaped you. Letting go is about honoring those moments for what they were while acknowledging that they no longer align with the person you are becoming. It's about recognizing when a chapter has ended and having the courage to turn the page. This process isn't linear. It's messy and emotional, filled with moments of doubt and grief. You may find yourself revisiting what you've let go of, questioning whether you made the right choice. That's normal. Letting go doesn't happen all at once. It's a practice. It's choosing every day to release what isn't serving you, even when it's hard. And as you let go, you create room for better relationships, opportunities, and experiences. When you release what no longer serves you, you make space for things that align with your values and bring you joy. It's like clearing out a cluttered room. At first, it feels empty, but over time, you realize that the space is an invitation for something new, something better. Letting go also teaches you about your own resilience. It shows you that you are capable of surviving loss, of navigating change, and of finding strength in the face of uncertainty. It reminds you that you are not defined by what you hold on to, but by your ability to adapt, grow, and move forward. There's a profound freedom in letting go. It allows you to shed the expectations, obligations, and attachments that no longer resonate with who you are. It gives you permission to focus on what truly matters, to prioritize your own well-being, and to live in alignment with your values. Letting go isn't just an act of release, it's an act of self-love. You deserve to be chosen. You deserve to be chosen, not just occasionally, not just when it's convenient for someone else, but consistently and wholeheartedly. You deserve relationships where you don't have to question your value, where your presence isn't merely tolerated but celebrated. You deserve to feel wanted, appreciated, and loved in ways that leave no room for doubt. Too often we settle for less than we deserve because we've been conditioned to think that love and connection have to be hard-earned. Maybe you've been told that you're asking for too much or that you need to lower your expectations. Maybe you've stayed in relationships where you felt like an option rather than a priority because you didn't want to seem ungrateful for whatever scraps of attention came your way. But the truth is, wanting to be chosen isn't asking for too much, it's asking for what's fair. Being chosen is about more than someone saying they care about you. It's about actions that back up those words. It's about the people in your life making the conscious decision to invest in the relationship, to show up for you, and to honor the connection you share. It's about effort that isn't coerced or guilt-driven, but freely given because they see your worth and want to be part of your life. You deserve to be chosen because your love, your energy, and your time are gifts. They are not commodities to be traded or given away to anyone who asks. They are treasures to be shared with those who truly appreciate them. When you give your heart to someone, you are offering them something invaluable, a part of yourself. And in return, it's only fair to expect that they hold that gift with care and reciprocate it with the same level of intention. Being chosen means being prioritized, not in a way that diminishes others, but in a way that reinforces your importance in someone's life. It means being included in their plans, their thoughts, and their future. It means they think of you not as an afterthought, but as someone whose presence adds value and joy to their world. You deserve relationships that are rooted in mutual respect and care. You deserve to be with people who see your potential, your strength, and your beauty, and who encourage you to grow into the fullest version of yourself. These are the relationships that don't demand that you shrink, conform, or hide parts of who you are. Instead, they celebrate your uniqueness and create a space where you feel safe to be authentic. When you are chosen, you don't have to constantly question where you stand with someone. You don't have to interpret mixed signals or second-guess their intentions. There is clarity and security because their actions align with their words. You feel seen and valued not because you've had to fight for attention, but because their love and care flow naturally toward you. Being chosen also means being supported. It means having people in your life who are there for you, not just during the good times, but also during the difficult moments. They stand by you when things get messy, offering encouragement, understanding, and a steady presence. They don't disappear when the road gets tough because their commitment to you is genuine and enduring. You deserve to be chosen by people who see the effort you put into your relationships and match it with their own. You deserve to be around those who notice the little things you do, who appreciate the thought and care you pour into their lives, and who reciprocate that thoughtfulness in meaningful ways. You deserve to feel like the energy you give is reflected back to you, creating a cycle of mutual love and support. Sometimes it's hard to believe you deserve to be chosen, especially if you've been in relationships where you felt overlooked or undervalued. But those experiences don't define you. They are not proof that you're unworthy. They are simply reminders that not everyone is capable of giving what you need. It's not a reflection of your value, but of their capacity. You deserve to be chosen not because of what you can offer or how you make someone else feel, but simply because you are you. Your existence is enough. Your heart, your kindness, your strength, and your presence are enough. You deserve to be chosen in the same way you choose others, with openness, sincerity, and a genuine desire to connect. Let me leave you with this: life is far too short and precious to spend it chasing after people who don't see your worth, or waiting for relationships that drain you to transform into what they were never meant to be. The connections that truly matter, the ones that enrich your life and allow you to thrive, are those built on mutuality, respect, and genuine care. Choose to honor yourself by setting a standard for the love and relationships you accept. Surround yourself with people who see you, who celebrate you, and who are willing to meet you with the same energy and effort you bring to the table. And remember, every time you let go of a relationship that isn't serving you, you're creating space for one that will. You deserve love that feels like home, relationships that inspire growth, and connections that remind you of your worth every single day. So choose people who choose you fully, unapologetically, and without hesitation. Because when you do, you're not just choosing them, you're choosing yourself.